Hello Markham Gardens family, Daniel Markham here with the Markham Gardens. I'm hanging out in the garden today and messing with some of the peach trees, and I thought I'd bring you guys along with me. So those of you that have seen the updates of our gardens and of our orchards and things like that know that we have several peach trees here at the Markham Gardens. And so all of those peach trees, most of those peach trees were planted back in the spring of 2023. And so they have been in the ground for well over a year now. They've been doing quite a bit of growing, but I wanted to give you guys an update of what those look like. Let me go ahead and show you an update of those peach trees and show you what they look like now. All right, guys, so this one right here is the red skin peach. And like I said, this has been in the ground since spring of 2023. So we are going on quite a bit of good growth over this year and a half, roughly, a little over a half. Been doing really well. We've definitely had a few peaches on them this last spring, but not a whole lot of them, and I didn't let the tree hold the peaches. I went ahead and removed it so that it could focus fully on growth. Let me show you one of our other ones. So here's another one of our peach trees. This one here is the Florida King, and this one had several peaches on it this last spring. Again, I went ahead and pulled those off to give it a chance to put all of its energy into its growth, but totally looking forward to peaches this next spring off of this one. And then right over here, let me pan over here, we've got the Sam Houston peach. And this one's on a little bit of a dwarfing rootstock, so it doesn't get quite as tall, not quite as big. Definitely had a few peaches try to go on this one this last spring. And like I said, I went ahead and removed that. Now, I did have some issues with this one. I've had consistent issue with some fungal growth that's on the tips of these leaves, you can see. And I have got that under control, and you can see we've got some good growth out here at the tips of the branches and stuff. But it is definitely a little bit more prone to some disease and things than the other two first peach trees that I showed you. Let me show you our most recent plant that we did. So this peach tree right here is the June Gold. And this one has done extremely well. This one here was actually planted spring of this year, 2024. And it has put on crazy amounts of growth. You can see it's about the same size as the Sam Houston, but this one here is not on a dwarfing rootstock. So this one will get a decent sized tree. And the reason I'm bringing you guys along today is because I show you all these peach trees and I told you that they produced. Well, the cool part is one of the peaches that I ended up pulling off of our red skin peach ended up, I threw it down on the ground to compost around the well at the base of it. And what ended up happening is that peach seed ended up sprouting and started growing here in the yard. And so when that happened, I went ahead and dug it up and decided to go ahead and pot it. And so let me show you guys that real quick. So here is that peach seedling that started growing from the seed of the red skin. And the thing is this is going to be, there's no other peach trees nearby. So this is going to be a cross between a red skin, a Florida King, a Sam Houston, not the June Gold, because the June Gold was a lot newer of a tree, so it wouldn't have contributed. But this is going to be a cross of one of those three varieties. And so I know it's going to be a beneficial cross. I know it's going to be a good variety. We will have to see whether or not it tastes really good. But I planted that seedling into a pot, and I've been watering it all summer long. And basically all of spring and all of summer. And now this is the size that it is right now. You can see we've got some decent girth on our trunk down here. It's been growing really well. Super healthy tree. I've had no disease issues with it whatsoever. It's done really well. And so what I've done is I'm going to go ahead and plant this into the orchard today, and we're going to give this peach tree a shot to grow and grow up and grow some peaches. It'll be cool because it'll be our own variety of peach tree here at the gardens. And if it turns out something good, who knows, we might end up propagating that and making that available to everybody else. But I wanted to kind of show you and bring you guys along for the design that we've been doing. And I don't know if you noticed or not, but anytime that I've walked around the peach trees, I've actually got them in sort of a design. And let me flip you guys around. I'll show you what I've done and what I'm going to continue to do. So right here at the red skin where you see that planted, and then you look over here and you can see way over there, that is the Florida King. There are exactly, and I don't know, this might just be my OCD here in the gardens, but there is exactly 22 feet from that peach tree to that peach tree. And if you go from that peach tree over to the Sam Houston, that's right over here, there's also exactly 22 feet. Now, if you go from the Sam Houston and you go back to the Redskin, exactly 22 feet. So I've got these set up on a perfect triangle. And so then what I ended up doing is when I decided to plant the June Gold, of course, I went from this bottom of this Sam Houston 22 feet out to that one. And if you look at the June Gold and you go all the way over here to the Florida King, there's exactly 22 feet between those. And so what I've done is right here at the June Gold and right at the Sam Houston, guess what? 22 feet is exactly where I'm going to plant that peach seedling. So I'm going to come down here. You guys can see we've got the casters growing up in this area. We've got some zinnias that have been growing up. You know, I originally was going to take these casters and do kind of a green wall that went across here. And they definitely grow a little bit slower here in Texas than they did in Phoenix. But you can see these zinnias. Oh my gosh. Just zinnias going nuts. We've got blooms all over, butterflies. The bees love them. We've even got some native flowering species up here coming in the zinnias. But Miss Markham loves them. I love these zinnias. Guys, if you need a flowering plant to grow, I'm telling you, these things will grow all spring, all summer, into fall. The only thing that takes them out is the cold, cold winter. And they are so easy to sow. I just threw a few seeds out here whenever I planted these casters, and they just came up all over the place. So totally, totally love them. But let me show you guys over here. So basically, I have already dug the hole. This is at 22 feet from our June Gold and 22 feet from our Sam Houston in a triangle pattern. And so I went ahead and dug a hole here. I went ahead and dug this hole. It is a little bit over 2 times the width. I want to give those roots some room to grow. And it is definitely more than 2 feet. 2 times the depth of the pot that we have this peach in. You can see here it's not a very big pot, but I've gone ahead and made this hole quite large so that it can establish and get some good root growth in this hole before we actually hit winter. And I want to get this tree growing really, really fast. So what I've done, guys, is I'm going ahead and I have dug this hole out. And what I found in the hole was quite a bit of rock, some clay. You can see there's some clay, there's some sand, mostly sand. So I am filling this hole back in, guys, with our soil that we make here at the gardens. You guys know I've shown you many videos of this. You've seen this soil. This soil is amazing. You can see it clumps up, shake it just a little bit, falls right back apart. It's great for holding moisture. It's got a lot of organic material in it. And our chickens make this, guys. It's full of chicken compost, chicken compost and manure. It's got some feather meal in there, got some bone meal, lots and lots of calcium that I've thrown in there with the eggs that they churn back into it, guys. Just a great soil. We even did some soil testing on this recently. In one of these videos, I'll possibly show you guys the results of that soil test, but the soil test turned out phenomenal with this. So we definitely know that what we're using, you know, I had an idea when I was making it just by the way it looks, by the way it smells, that it was good soil. But now that we've tested it, there's no doubt in my mind, guys, this soil is amazing that we have here at the Markham Gardens. If you're in the area, we do provide this, we do sell this. Enough of the commercial, moving on. So we go ahead, and what I'm doing is I'm planting this peach tree into this hole with this soil that we make here at the Markham Gardens. And what I've done is I've taken that hole and done it a little bit bigger than twice. I usually tell you guys twice the depth, twice the width of the pot at least. I've gone a little bit bigger than that, guys. So what we want to do is I want to go ahead and I want to get this peach tree into this hole. Let me go ahead and give it a surface here, a flat surface. See if I can show you guys here. Flat surface to set that peach on. Now, when we plant this peach, guys, you want them elevated a little bit. You do not want to sink these peaches down deep. Okay, you want to make sure that it's elevated. So at the level of this right here, that this pot is at, that this peach has been growing, you can see the roots. Let me show you guys. You see these roots? These are feeder roots, guys. These are the ones that are absorbing oxygen that need to be near the surface for a tree. So if you go in and you plant this tree and you plant it all the way up to here, you're possibly going to drown that tree, and all of this area here is going to rot. And it's not going to grow fast. You're going to end up with all sorts of disease and issues. So when you plant this one into this hole, you want to make sure that these feeder roots are exposed, just the way that they're exposed right here. You don't want to plant these to where they've all of a sudden disappeared. And so because I'm putting new soil in here and it's highly organic, it's stuff that's going to break down in this hole and create food. When I plant this into here, this peach over the next several months is going to begin sinking into this hole because this soil is going to begin decomposing. It's going to disappear as it's decomposing and turning into food. So what that tells me is I need to take this pot and this level right here, and I need it elevated. I need it to come up above the hole, guys. I don't need to plant it down into the hole. I need to plant it elevated so that it's up above and it slowly sinks down to level. And so what I'm going to do, let me go ahead and set this on here. Now you guys, I don't know if you can see this. Let me show you. You see how elevated I am here? You see how much higher than in that hole I'm sitting? And that's how high I'm going to plant that tree, guys. And as crazy as that seems, this soil here is going to sink down, I'm telling you. It's going to sink down and it's going to suck this potted plant down into that hole with it to the point that then it'll be slightly elevated here on this hill. You also don't want peaches sitting in water. You don't want them just standing in water. So you want them to have good drainage. You want the trunk to be elevated from the ground. And that way you've got the best chance for success. So let me go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and fill in this area. So I've set this pot in here the way I want it, the way I want the tree to grow. And now we're going to go ahead and fill this area in all the way around. This is my method of planting. It gives me a perfect structure of what that root ball is going to look like so it can go right back into the hole. So we're going to fill this whole area here with our soil, and I'll come right back to you. All right, guys, so you can see I have gone ahead and I have dumped all of this soil down here into the bottom. Now, we are on a downhill slope here. So from the top here, this is uphill, and then we slowly go downhill here. And so what I did is I took all the dirt out of here and created sort of a berm around. Let me see if I can step back so you guys can see that. So I have basically bermed this. This is the downhill slope side right here. And it slopes uphill towards that direction, as you can see. And so I went ahead and bermed this right here with the dirt that came out of the hole to kind of level this area so it holds water a little bit better and doesn't run off hill so fast. But now I've gone ahead and put this in the hole, and we've put all of our soil up here next to the peach. And so now I just want to smooth all this out. Now I'm going to put all of this soil around the peach, and then I'm going to go ahead and take some of this original soil that's here. I'm going to dip down on this side, leave this side raised to hold more water, but I'm going to take some of this and fill in the whole top portion once we get this planted into this spot. So let's go ahead and smooth this dirt out. I'm going to press it in just a little bit so we're nice and firm all the way around. All right. So what I'm doing, guys, is I'm not pressing down really hard, but I'm basically patting the ground. I want to knock any air bubbles that I've got in there out. If I've got air bubbles where roots are going to be sitting against, it's not really good for those roots to be sitting in air bubbles. We want them to stay moist and to continue growing. So what I've done is I've patted this down just a little bit, firmed this around the pot. Now let me show you guys what I do here. So I will take this pot now that is firm in this hole, and I will just jiggle it just a little bit, just to loosen it up. And then I'm going to pull that pot out. Now, what I've got here, guys, is a perfect design of what the root ball inside this pot is going to look like. So I want when you plant something, you want the least amount of stress possible. You don't want that tree stressing out. You don't want the roots stressing out. And the way to do that, guys, is to build something that looks exactly like it, so there's no air pockets in there. You take the least amount of time being out of the pot. A lot of people will take the tree completely out of this pot, expose the roots, and have the roots sitting here next to them while they're while they're digging the hole. Or sometimes they'll move it out of this pot, have those exposed, set it down into the hole, and then try to bury all the dirt back in over the top of all the roots. And guys, that's time that those roots are exposed to open air, open heat, basically the environment that you're planting in. And so what I do is I build this right here. That way I've got a perfect little glove. I can pop this tree right out of this pot and go directly into the hole, and it's already, the roots are buried and they're not having to be exposed for any time or period. And it allows them to not be as stressed, allows them to continue growing, and basically keeps that tree from having that pause period where you have shock or stress on that tree that it's not going to continue growing. And when I do it this way, guys, it's very rare, very, very rare that I have a plant that goes through stress shock, planting shock or planting stress. They usually do really well and continue growing as though they never even left the pot. And so I would definitely recommend give this method a shot. It definitely works for me. It's worked for me for a long time, and so I know that it works. So all right, let's get this plant out of the pot, and let's go ahead and get this into the hole. All right, guys, so what I do is I will come over here, I will squeeze around the pot just a little bit, just to separate the suction just a little bit, to separate the roots, the root ball. And then now you should be able to, if you're fully rooted. If you're not fully rooted, this whole thing will come apart, guys. You should be able to jiggle it and lift it out. And look at that root structure, guys. Look at that. Now, we definitely want to get it in the hole quick. I don't want it to sit out here in the oxygen for a while and get stressed. But see, we're going to go right back into this hole, and that hole is already the size. Isn't that awesome, guys? Fits in there like a glove. The roots aren't exposed to air for a long period of time. Now, you can see the amount we're elevated here. And that's what I was telling you guys about. I want this thing elevated. That way, when it sinks and when that soil begins to decompose, that this isn't now sitting 2 inches below the surface of the soil because all of this has decomposed. You guys can see I've got quite an elevated portion here. Now, what I do with this, just so it doesn't look stupid like this, I mean, you can leave it like this, but I don't recommend it. You'd want to fill in some more soil around here just to come up to this level, just on this area. But you can see that back here where I've got the original, I'm elevated above that, and that's really what we wanted, guys, because I don't want this initially being a level, and then this starting to degrade and turn into food, and then all of a sudden having this level, 2 inches below the original soil that we have here. I want this to, as it degrades and as it decomposes, to slowly sink and then end up at the same level out here, if not even still just a little bit higher. So, but you can see we're definitely raised here. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, is I take the edge of this and I start feathering this down. And what that does is there are roots that are in here, and all I'm doing is I'm playing out those roots so that they will basically splay out into the area. And you can see those roots here. Let me show you. You see those root systems? Those are the feeder roots, guys. And I want those all along the surface of the soil where they're going to eat. And so now you can see we've got a little bit of a hill. You can see that this peach is now planted on a little bit of a hill here. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm gonna go ahead and you can see I've got a little bit of good, decent soil here that has just degraded from the wood chips that have been out here in the garden. That was the original topsoil that I set aside before this stuff started coming out of the hole. And so I'm gonna take a little bit of that and I'm gonna spread that over these feeder roots that are exposed right now. You can see these feeder roots that are exposed. I'm gonna spread that out over the top of this area. And then we'll come back with our mulch that you guys have seen, that I've talked to you about. Mulch is key, it's beneficial. It definitely keeps the ground cooler, holds moisture into the ground. Then we'll put that mulch over the top of everything right here on the top. So let me go ahead and take some of this topsoil. I'm gonna bury that over the top and I'll come right back to you. All right, guys, so you can see I've got the tree planted here. I've gone ahead and pulled some of that mulch up into where the trunk area is. Now, if you'll take a look here, we still have our roots that are exposed right here. I mean, they're right there on the surface, just like I said we needed it to be. And you'll see that those roots, those little tiny roots, they'll get bigger and bigger and bigger as this tree grows. And you'll be able to see them there on the surface. But that way your tree doesn't drown. It has plenty of oxygen and will continue growing. So we've got this tree planted, guys. The only thing we need to do now is we need to put all of our compost here around this tree. And then we want to water this in, guys. Remember, you want to water this tree and you want to water it deep. You want to basically fill that hole that you dug and let that water sink all the way in. And you want to do that within 20 minutes of planting this tree. You don't want this tree sitting here in dry soil and having all of the moisture sucked away from the center of that root ball. You want to keep moisture to that area, and this tree will continue to grow as though it never even left the pot, guys. Right now we're in fall, guys, and we're trying to do some prep for, I mean, when I say fall here in Texas, it's still hot, and a lot of you guys, it's still hot in your areas too. But for the most part, most of the U.S., we're walking into fall, guys. And I'm telling you, if you haven't put mulch or you haven't re-mulched your trees yet, get on it, guys. Let me show you what I'm doing. So I have come out here to all of my trees and basically around the drip line areas. And the drip line, guys, I mean where the water, the majority of the water is hitting the top of the tree and drips off of the leaves and comes down onto the ground. Right at that area, you guys want to begin adding more of your wood chips. So you want to re-mulch. And you can see down here, I have already re-mulched, guys. I've added in fact, I accidentally buried a lemon here, which probably would have rooted if I'd have just left it. But I have begun adding new mulch, guys, new wood chips, new organic material. And guys, the reason I'm doing that is for winter, I am insulating these root systems. I want these roots to continue to grow all winter long without stopping. You can see over here, you can see all the new mulch that I've got that I've placed around this tree here at the drip line. You do not want this mulch up against the trunk. Do not have it sitting up against the trunk, guys. It will rot out those trunks. It'll allow pests and things to get up, like borers, to get up next to that trunk and begin drilling into the sides of your trunks. That is definitely not a good thing. So you want to come out a little ways. You can see that the trunk does not have wood chips up against it. I've moved out here where the drip line is, guys. And the drip line here off of the branches of these trees where the water's going to drip is going to drip right on to where my mulch area is. And I do this twice a year, guys. In spring, at the end of winter, I come in, I add a brand new layer of mulch, and that insulates us all the way through spring and into summer. Keeps the moisture in there, keeps the ground cooler. And then right in fall, I come in and I re-mulch the whole area again. And obviously, as the tree gets taller and bigger and moves further and further out, I'll continue moving this ring further and further out. And all that's going to do, guys, is it's going to feed your trees. It's going to insulate your trees. But the soil here around your trees is going to become super black and beautiful. So that's why we do this. You can see I've done this one here. You can see these ones over here, the blueberry bushes, they have new mulch, the peach trees. I even did the blackberry bushes that we've got going there that just started. I will complete the rest of these. I just got started here in the last couple days re-adding mulch. You can see our Einsheimer apple went ahead and remulched this area as well. Definitely did it with the peaches, or I mean the pears, and our crab apple. Basically any of your trees, guys, that you want to continue to grow and are in you know, in a situation where you're wanting to see some good growth for the next year, make sure you're adding mulch to your bases, guys. It'll feed these trees without you having to come out and add fertilizer to them all the time. So if you haven't started doing that, guys, get on that. Start adding your mulch in and start insulating your trees' root systems for winter as it's coming along. You want them to go dormant, but when they're dormant, their root systems are growing, guys. So keep that in mind. But anyway, like I said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and mulch this little peach tree. I'm going to add some mulch around the area. Go ahead and get it watered in. That way we're watered in within that 20-minute period so it doesn't stop growing. And hopefully in the future, I'll be able to show you guys some updates of this peach tree growing. So cool to be able to just have a peach seed come up in your yard, plant it, you know, nourish it, nurture it, and watch it begin to produce fruit. So hopefully you guys can come along for that process with this one. So anyway, hope you guys learned something today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Guys, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, guys. We've got lots and lots of more stuff coming. Who knows what's gonna happen? Who knows what projects I'll be doing? We've got several of them in the books planned, and we've got several of them that are in process right now, like our tumbler, our soil tumbler that we still haven't finished, but those are coming soon, guys. And if you liked the video, guys, please hit the like button. It definitely helps out the channel, lets YouTube know, its algorithms and everything, that people like what they're watching, and that what we're putting out is something that's interesting to you. If you know anybody that's going to be planting trees, or you know somebody that's coming into fall that has a bunch of fruit trees and doesn't know to mulch them, guys, if you'd share this video, get this word out there to your friends and family, I'd appreciate it, definitely. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for following along with me today. Guys, go out and plant. It's fall. It's the perfect time to start planting. A lot of you wait all the way till spring. Don't wait till spring. Guys, plant in the fall time. The spring, it definitely, when you plant, then now your tree has to survive. Your young tree has to survive the entire summer of hot and usually dry weather. And if you plant in the fall time, guys, you get all of that beautiful growth when it's starting to cool down. The plants go dormant, they continue their root growth, and then that next spring they get to bust out and do it all over again. But at least they're established enough to be able to handle the summer that's coming to them. So guys, get out there and start planting. Right now, beginning of fall, this is the time to plant. Best time to plant your fruit trees, especially your ones that are gonna go dormant. Sorry, I got some sort of a fly messing with me, but anyway, guys, love you. Thank you for watching the video, guys. Follow along. I'll see you guys in the next one. Shalom under the dome.